welcome back to the channel and thanks for watching. So now that we have the siding done, it's just getting late into fall here. It's October, so of course we can see with the rain and the cold weather that's surrounding me right now, but I still would like to finish my sidewalks at some point this year. So that's the next project we have working on right now. So basically just for any of you who have a good eye for detail, you'll notice that I've already moved my fence from where it was before when I had the 14-foot gate here. I moved it back to this point and put a 6-foot gate on where the old sidewalk was from the beginning of this year. So we pulled the old fence posts out with the excavator just now, and we're basically just going to get started with digging out and setting up the concrete. So the reason I wanted to do this was because I didn't know where I was going to possibly be building a garage here, a detached garage at some point. So I didn't want to limit myself to where that was going to be. So the current plan, which is always subject to change, is to fill in a little bit more concrete here just for some storage or trash cans and other stuff that can go behind the garage. I was able to pick up this 10 by 12 or 10 by 16 maybe shed. I can't remember now, but a couple weeks ago, and I'll be kind of restoring that. And I'm just going to be placing it here on a pad that I pour for now as a temporary solution to somewhat of a garage. And then if I end up deciding to build a detached garage later on, I'm going to have the pad set up for it. So we're basically going to have a 3-foot sidewalk here going out, and then about a 9-inch gap just for drainage to put some stone in. That way any water that falls off of the eave there doesn't go straight up against the foundation. And then we'll have either a 12-foot or 14-foot wide pad here for the garage, and I will do a 12-inch deep haunch on the edge just in case I ever actually end up stick framing a garage. The only thing is it starts to drop off pretty steep here on the side. So this is our 14-foot mark, so might be a little bit of fill to get 14, so we might end up doing 12, but we'll see just how it does whenever we get the forms in and it's some gravel in here. And then I'm going to just continue this out. It'll be filling in this area with concrete all the way flush with the front corner of my porch, and then a little landing in the front of the porch just to get some better walkway. And that'll really help me dress up at least the sidewalks around the house. And then if I'm lucky enough, after I move the shed onto that pad, I might be able to get at least a little bit of parking area for the garage here. So it should be a good project. Just hopefully we have enough good weather to finish it out for the year, but we'll at least get it set up for now, and we'll see. We'll be working around the stonemason who should be here putting up some veneer in the next couple days. So try to work around him and not make his job any harder getting around our forms. But I'm gonna get this dug out. We'll put some gravel down and get some forms in, and then we'll see where we're at from there. All right, so that one was pretty easy to get set up with the excavator here. So pretty much at grade where we wanted to be. We have our haunch, so about 12 inches deep around the perimeter of where the garage slab will go on this side and this side. This corner down here is actually already pretty low, so probably end up filling in a little bit. And then we'll have our 3-foot sidewalk running along that. The haunch side along the front here. I did have to move my downspout drain, which I figured I would when I initially put it in, so made that a little bit deeper. Just have to finish up the trench, put that back in. And then, of course, we're already going this way with sidewalks, which is already about 4 inches, so shouldn't have much to do there. And then I just dug out a little bit here in front of the porch for that other little pad, so kind of sprayed out a little bit of what shape we're going for. It's gonna be like just a little half moon shape here, and that should be it. That should get us to basically to where I have my sidewalk, garage pad over there. We'll move the shed onto the garage pad, and eventually, maybe this year, but maybe in the spring, we'll end up pouring 2 pads here. A little bit different color, but just as a driveway. And hopefully those will be 2 decent parking spots. They'll be roughly 20 by 30 for parking after that, and that'll at least get us out of the mud with the cars and stuff when we're parking here, because even having that 2A down, it gets pretty muddy sometimes. So all right, well, we're going to start to get some stone in here, get our trenches dug, and hopefully get some forms in soon. All right, so we just picked up all the wood we needed. We just went around and kind of measured everything out to see about what we need. My dad's starting to get the first board in here. So we have our points met where we're staying 16 inches away from the house for that side, just to match the rock garden how we did on the other side of the house. We're 20 inches in the front. And then once we get this established, we will come back and start to do our center part for the garage, our little square here just for some extra storage. The garage will be the biggest part. We brought down some 2x6s, 2x8s, just because I know this downhill side is going to be pretty steep, because it does grade downhill right now, and I know we're going to have to be backfilling a good bit, but do have 24 tons of 2A over here just in case, so we'll be able to get that in and packed in really nicely. So we're just going to get these forms in, and we'll make sure we get some decent slope, and I'll catch you guys up as soon as we get some forms going. Okay, so most of the forms are now in, and we have a good idea of our heights, so I can kind of take you through that, and maybe this makes a little bit more sense about what I was trying to get to before. But we have a little piece in the back here, so the part that I'm standing in now will be a future potential garage, so try and get a good perspective here. So from this board, the most inside board forward, I have a 12-inch haunch. Right here you see the trench dug. Well, I haven't put stone in yet, and then it'll come across here, and we have a 2x8 in here, and then of course we have about 6 inches of space below it, just because this whole hill goes downhill. And I knew there was going to be a good bit of fill in here, so we're going to fill this in with crusher run. We're going to have a haunched side over here, and then back here in this corner, the end of the garage would be square with this corner here, so it would come across. So this back here can all be 4 inches thick. I know it's going to be pretty deep, as you can see back here, but we can fill this in. This is just going to be a little bit of storage. Maybe I'll put some trash cans or something back here, since it'll be behind the shed or future garage. And then we have a sidewalk here, 3 feet wide. It goes all the way to the front. We have our curved board, And then we just follow that around, same space away from the house. So we'll do a little rock garden here, a little rock garden along the house. And then this square here will be a rock garden too. And the only reason I did that is because I didn't want a future garage being built right next to the sidewalk. And then if I would get water on the sidewalk, it would have the potential to go underneath the bottom plate of the garage. So the only way to avoid that would be to have, like, either slope the sidewalk towards the house, which I definitely don't want to do, or have like a swale down the middle and try to bring it out the front here. And that just gets to be a pain. So a little bit of a rock garden there will catch any water before it has a chance to go into the garage. Anyway, for now, I'll just be dragging this 10 by 16 shed on here. And if I end up getting the excitement to build a garage in the next couple of years, then we'll deal with that when we get there. But my dad's just getting some boards set up for the curved part in front of the porch. So we're gonna do a little walkway in front of the porch, just because it seems like every time we get out of the cars and we're walking towards the porch, rather than going up and to the right, I always just cut through the grass right here. So we're gonna just knock all this down, throw some stone in here, and we're gonna do a little piece of sidewalk here. So have a little bit of lines painted out now. So we'll go 12 feet, it's 12 feet out from the porch. Since the porch is 12 feet wide, I think that'll look nice, like a visual, since it'll be proportional. And then it just curves around this way, a little bit of a radius there, and we will meet the end of our little section here. So the garage pad will be 12 feet wide by 20 feet deep. That way I could potentially park at least one car in there one day, or whoever ends up renting this place or whatever could potentially park one car in there. For me, it'll just be a little bit of a workshop. And then the last 2 feet or so there will just be a short broom finish or something like that, or maybe we'll do the stamped like everything else. And yeah, I think it'll come together and look nice. But for now, I'm gonna get some stone in here, and we'll see a little bit better on how the perspective looks, how much I need to get out. We also need to put our downspout drain back in here. So I'll get that put in, and then make sure we get some stone over top of that, and we should be good to go. So hop in the skid steer, get the bucket on, and we will get this filled up. Welcome back. It's the next day, and we are able to finish up a lot of the driveway and sidewalk the other day, but of course the camera died during the time lapse. So just do a quick recap here. We have our front part lined up here. This is a 12 by 13 wide pad here. So this is just because every time I park the car on the driveway, I always end up walking to the front of the porch rather than up and to the left, so make it a little bit nicer. And then I have this piece that this curve will go around, and this is just to keep it out of the way so we can walk through here. But this will be straight line meeting up with that corner down there, and this will basically all be the dark gray concrete with the dark gray release, and that'll be more of like a sidewalk area. I did a curve here just to kind of reduce the stress concentration there rather than doing a corner. I think it'll look nice, and then also it'll be a little bit stronger and reduce cracking. So this will be poured. This is about 700 square feet, so it's about 8.6 yards if everything's at 4 inches thick. But we also have our 12-inch footers, so probably just end up ordering 11 since that's about what they'll bring. But the only other things we have to do today is put in some rebar on our old sidewalks and porch here, and some dowels just to keep it from sinking or heaving at all. And then we'll put some wire mesh down, and I still need to hand dig this trench here because I filled it in with stone with the skid steer. So should be pretty quick since it's just scooping out some of this 2A stone. And then I need to get this bored in along here, redig this haunch for the front of the driveway, in front of the where the future garage might go. So that'll give me a 12 by 20 possible garage if I would ever decide to build one. And then we're just going to tighten up some of these forms and we should be good to go. So let's hope for some shade. It is a beautiful day for the fall right now. It's about 70 degrees, so makes it a little bit easier to work. So let's get this dug out and I'll catch up with you guys when we get it more set up. Okay, welcome back. It is pour day. It is a beautiful 73 degrees here for a late October day in Pennsylvania. And we are just getting ready to get this patio and garage pad poured out. So we finished putting the wire in and the rebar into the old concrete yesterday. My dad was able to come over in the morning, and later this afternoon, we're going to be pouring the 10 yards that is required to do this. So again, just to do a quick recap, we have this little pad back here that kind of ties into our old patio and our radius. This is just be for a little bit of storage behind a garage or the shed for now. I would have just done all concrete here, but actually I have my septic system lid right in this area, so that's why I couldn't really cover this up. So needed to have access to that, so that'll just be rock garden eventually. This area, 12 by 20, we have a future potential garage pad. So if I end up staying in this house for too much longer, I'll really need a garage rather than just working outside all the time. So just wanted to have this as an option. But for now, the 10 by 16 shed is going to live here, and we'll get that cleaned up and make it look better. But just in preparation for that, I did do a 12-inch haunch here around the whole perimeter of where the garage could potentially be. And then we just have our 3-foot sidewalk where we'll be. Again, this will be for river rock, just to have a little bit of stone drainage here. That way there's no chance it could get underneath the bottom plate of the garage. Another way you could do this is to have a 2x4 here and elevate this up as like a 3.5-inch shoulder. But since I'm not sure if I'm going to be building a garage yet, I didn't want to quite do that. So another detail I ended up doing just for preparation was I dug a short trench here so I could have this 2-inch electrical conduit in there. Don't have anything planned right now, but just in case I would ever want to put electricity in the garage, like a 50 amp sub panel or something, the trench is already there. I mean, it took me 5 minutes to dig that and an extra $25, $30 in material. So I'll just have this in here temporarily, and then when the concrete gets in there, we'll just put the cap on it, and hopefully it won't be noticeable too much. Again, this is the front of the garage, the 20 feet mark. So that's our haunch. Then we'll have an extra 2 feet or so where the driveway will continue. The pad itself will come this way. This will be more of like a sidewalk area. So it'll be the same dark gray, or the medium gray slate concrete integral mix with the dark gray release. And I'll do the same border with the black on the border as before. The front part here, so I have just an extra bit of sidewalk here. So brought the buggy over. We'll do probably about 7 or 8 buggies over here just until the concrete truck can reach. Of course, I have my power line here, so you can't get too close, but it should be able to shoot most of this. And then that should be it. So it'll be a fun one. We'll get this poured out, and we're getting a lot of the family over here to help out since it's cheap labor. So should be a good job, and I think we're gonna get some pizza later too. So be a nice fall day here, and hopefully have no problems getting this poured out, but should be good to go. Oh, one more thing. We have kind of a unique situation here where, since this could potentially be a garage, I'm not going to stamp this where the garage is, obviously, but everything else is going to be stamped. So the back pad, the sidewalks this way, and then the front piece. So we will have, kind of unique to this job, is a smooth finish from that haunch, basically the corner of that pad, over all the way this way, and then to a line we have marked over there. So this will all be smooth finish But just so I don't have anything exposed that's smooth finish, since this shed is only 16 feet, I'm gonna do the last 4 feet as a broom finish. That way, if I ever do build a garage there, the last 4 feet inside the garage will be broom finish, but that's okay. I think I can live with that. So catch up with you soon. The truck should be here and we will get to pouring this. All right, well, that was a fun night. So it's the next morning and I have a little bit of time during lunch here to kind of go through what we did last night, since it got pretty dark during that time lapse. And then of course, it's time to clean it whenever I get a second and get some sealer on it. So just as a quick recap here, we were able to get the front porch done here. So this little sliver, and then we move on to the extended sidewalk here. And of course, this still has all the release on it, and it rained a little bit last night, so that's why it looks a little bit darker. We have this sidewalk here. We have this little back piece here. This was left as a steel trowel finish because if I end up building a garage here, I'll end up using a 2x6 and framing this out as like a regular traditional stick frame. So I wanted the smooth finish in there, just hit it twice is good enough, but it still is the integral to gray colored concrete. This side, we did a broom finish because even though the building will eventually be 15 by 20 or 12 by 20, this will be exposed even when I have the 16-foot shed on here. So this smooth part is 16 feet deep, and then I won't have to worry about slipping if I try to go in and out of my shed because I'll have this nice broom finish here. So I'm gonna get this cleaned off for a little bit and try to tidy up a little bit, because it's definitely getting to be that time of the year, and it doesn't look like we're gonna have much better weather for the rest of the week. So we're gonna get this hosed off, and hopefully it'll cure up enough today that we can saw cut it and maybe even get it sealed. Okay, well, that was pretty straightforward. So got this patio all cleaned off, so that really shows a lot more of the color. So even though this and this are the same color, this is 2 years old and has had a lot more time to cure, and of course has sealer on it, so it won't be quite as dark as this one, just because this one had to sit over the winter before I got it sealed, so it did lose some of that dark release color. But this one will still look nice. It'll be pretty similar to how the back porch looks next to the side porch we did here earlier this spring. So just gonna let this dry for a bit and maybe try to pull some forms whenever I get a chance again, or maybe later this afternoon. And then should be good to scrub it with some good soap again, and we'll let it dry one more time, get our borders painted, and of course put our sealer on. So I will see you guys then. Okay, so, well, it's a nice gloomy overcast day today, so it took a while for it to dry, but we do have everything saw cut, and for the most part it's pretty dry. So this has been cleaned twice now, pressure washed and brushed with some Dawn dish soap just to really clean it up. So really the only wet spots slightly left are in the saw cuts where it was holding water. So we're gonna get this border painted while we can, using the same product as before when we did the back patio, which is the Dark Knight concrete paint here from Menards. So this stuff held up really well on the last patio, so I'm gonna just keep using that, and once I get this painted on here we should be good to go. We'll wait probably another hour or so, try to let this thing get nice and dry, and then we will hit it with some sealer before it rains hopefully, and that'll be it. So I decided to angle the border into the corner of the porch here just because I think it'll look better rather than having this 5.5-inch border over that little thin area. So we'll see. I think there wasn't really a right or wrong answer with stuff like that, but I do plan to do a stone pillar around this 6x6 eventually, so it'll all get covered anyway. So we'll do 2 coats of this stain. All right, what's up guys? So it has been so hard to film lately because we've been fighting the rain and the snow the last couple days trying to get this sealed, but we are finally ready to seal this concrete. So I have it all cleaned again because I had some mud on it just from having it sit for the last couple days. We got our first snow yesterday, so that was kind of surprising, but we are ready to seal this. So the borders are painted with our black stain, and I'm just going to get our sealer set up and we will start this sealing process, and then we should be done with this project for the year. So we will be done with the rest of our sidewalks as well as the siding and the stone project that I'll be sure to recap in the next siding video, and hopefully that'll be it for the winter, and just a couple little miscellaneous things here and there, but it'll be exciting.
gonna throw those socks away when you're done?
Yeah.
Good. What's up? You want me to push it up and you push it down? Walker. 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 Hey.
Okay, well, there's the first coat. So sprayer, it's getting pretty old and the seals are getting bad, so it's definitely giving me more trouble lately than usual. But you can see really makes this color pop, especially on that black border, just like this old concrete. So you'll notice that this is a little bit darker. So these are the same color. So this will actually cure out over the next couple months a little bit lighter, just as light as this piece here. So not much lighter, but that dark gray integral color does lighten up a little bit. Same thing with the sidewalk. You can see I missed a little spot here, but I always go a little bit heavy with the first coat, and then the second coat, just do a light second coat and then a light third coat if it needs it. So this here will be underneath the garage or the future garage floor. So I'm just gonna hit this with one coat. I mean, normally I wouldn't even do non-stamp stuff sealed, but since I have it here, I just hit it one time real quick, so at least give it a little bit of extra protection since it'll be living underneath this shed for a while. And then back to the actual sidewalk here, definitely need to hit it again here. I can see a couple bare spots, but looking good. A little bit light on the border here where I missed a few spots, but that first coat, I mean, really shows that dark gray release on that medium gray integral color. So same thing with this front, and once this dries I will get that second coat on there and should be looking really good. All right, so this first coat's been sitting for about 45 minutes or so, and it's dry to walk on. I mean, you don't feel any tackiness on your socks, so time for coat number 2. Okay, well that's it for this one. So this new sidewalk and future garage pad turned out really nice. Had some great color come out of it, just like the other patios here. So that nice medium gray base with the dark gray release really makes it pop. And then of course the black stained border really adds to the depth of the pad. I did end up doing a second coat on this just because I had the sealer, and you know, once it's in the bin, I hate to put it back in the 5-gallon jug, so just used it up. Had just enough, probably used 3 gallons or so to do 2 good coats on this, and calling this done. So go one quick overview here and make sure we check it out in the morning too, whenever we get some sunlight on it. But yeah, it definitely came out nice, and really excited to see how it looks when the sun hits it tomorrow. Could touch up just a few more spots here, but I think it's going to dry nicely, and nice and even. So yeah, we're gonna call this project done, and I will see you guys this weekend sometime whenever we end up moving the shed to the pad there. And of course there's the final video for the siding that will most likely highlight this whole project here, so make sure you check that out if you haven't seen it. It's a pretty long series about how we actually got all the siding and the stone on this house. But until next time, I will see you guys then. Thanks for watching.